Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Okay, so today we are reading from Srimad Bhagvatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, Text 23. And this chapter is about Krishna, who is the source of all incarnations. And in this chapter, a lot of his incarnations are detailed. So in this particular text, number 23, we will see that he talks about a little bit about him taking incarnation as Krishna and Balaram. So if you can repeat after me. Eko na vimshe vimshati me vrishnishu prapya Janmani Rama Krishnav iti bhuvo Bhagavan Arad Bharam Ekona vimshe vimshati me Vrishnishu prapya Janmani Rama Krishna Viti Bhuvo Bhagavan Arad Bharam Eko na vimshe vimshati me Vrishnishu prapya Janmani Rama Krishna Viti Bhuvo Bhagavan Arad Bharam Eko na vimshe vimshati me Vrishnishu prapya Janmani Rama Krishna Viti Bhuvo Bhagavan Arad Bharam Eko na vimshe vimshati me Vishnishu prapya Janmani Rama Krishna iti bhuvo Bhagavan Arad Bharamam Eko na vimshe vimshati me Vrishnishu prapya Janmani Rama Krishna iti bhuvo Arad Bharam Eko na vimshe vimshati me Prapya Janmani Rama Krishna iti bhuvo Bhagavan Arad Bharam. Okay, so word for word, Ekona Vimshe. In the 19th, Vimshati me. In the 20th, also. Vrishnishu. In the Vrishni dynasty. Prapya. Having obtained. Janmani. Births. Rama. Balaram. Krishna. Shri Krishna. Iti. Thus. Bhuva. Of the world. Bhagavan. The personality of Godhead. Aharat. Removed. Bharam. Burden. Okay, so we've got the translation given. In the 19th and 20th incarnations, the Lord advented himself as Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna in the family of Vrishni, the Yadu dynasty. And by so doing, he removed the burden of this world. So if we can repeat. In the 19th and 20th incarnations, the Lord advented himself as Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna in the family of Vrishni, the Yadu dynasty, and by so doing, he removed the burden of the world. So this purport given by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So the specific mention of the word Bhagavan in this text indicates that Balaram and Krishna are the original forms of the Lord. This will be further explained later. Lord Krishna is not an incarnation of the Purusha, as we learn from the beginning of this chapter. He is directly the original personality of Godhead, and Balaram is the first plenary manifestation of the Lord. From Baladev, Balaram, the first flanks of plenary expansions of Vasudev, Sankarshan, Anirudh, and Pradyuman expands. Lord Sri Krishna is Vasudev and Baladev is Sankarshan. So, Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurue Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vande Ham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Raghunathanita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Va Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimate Bir Krishna Goswaminiti Namane Namo Hamsa Nikashaya Prabhupada Priyayate Sudrita Shuddhi Nishtabhayam Tasya Vakya Numadne. So this is a very nice shloka because it's all about Krishna. And this is what we are doing right now, is we are worshipping Krishna as the personality of Godhead. So I offer my obeisances to Sri Radha Gopinath for giving me the opportunity of speaking a little bit about Krishna and Balaram in my small, insignificant realizations, which I hope to share with you today. So to start off with, the expansions of Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, his first expansion is Balaram, Baladev. And after that, Balaram expands himself to 4 expansions, which are Sankarshan, Anirudh, Pradyuman, and Vasudev. Vasudev is Krishna, and Balaram is Sankarshan. And through Sankarshan, we get the other expansions, which is the Karanadaya Vishnu, Garbhodaya Vishnu, the Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, and then from there we have Brahma, which is created. So, but why does he actually incarnate? In this incarnation, he says that he doesn't say he definitely is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but why did he take this incarnation? I was reading the Krishna book, and in the Krishna book, he has explained very nicely in his own words why he has taken birth in the Treta Yuga as firstly as Balaram and then as Krishna. Although in the Bhagavad Gita we know that he says whenever there is a decline in religion or dharma, and whenever there is a demonic activities, I will take birth and I will I will remove the demonic activities and re-establish dharma and religion. And I do that every millennium. Every time there's a decline in dharma. So the famous verse, obviously, yada yada hi dharmasya. But in this particular, in his own words, as Krishna, when he has incarnated, there's this pastime when Krishna is in Mathura. This is after his pastime. He's born, and then he has these pastimes in Vrindavan. After from small Kishore, Kumar age, and then Poganda age, which is after 5 years old. So from 0 to 5, he's a little boy. And he does all these activities and leelas with his mom and dad, foster moms, Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai. After that, he does his activities as from 6 years old to 11, and then from 11 to 15. So this is, all this happens in Vrindavan. After that, he goes to Mathura. Lord Krishna, and he goes to Mathura to release his birth parents, which is Devaki and Vasudev, who are imprisoned in the dungeons by Devaki's brother Kamsa, and they've been there for since Krishna's been born. So Krishna goes to Mathura to release his parents. And then after his parents are released, after he kills Kamsa, there's this pastime where Mathura is being targeted and attacked a lot of the times. And why? Firstly, because he killed Kamsa, and what happens is Kamsa's wives, they become widows. And so they are in very bad condition, and they are crying, and they're obviously unprotected, and they go back to their father. 2 wives of Kamsa, they go back to their father, and the father happens to be Jarasandha. So Jarasandha looks at the pitiable condition of his daughters and says, oh, well, Krishna's killed your husband, so I vow to wipe out the Yadu dynasty, the dynasty in which Krishna is born. I vow to kill Krishna. So Mathura is always under attack, and Jarasandha brings all his army. So I'm coming to the point where Krishna actually says verbally why he's here, leading up to that point where he speaks. So while Jarasandha is attacking Mathura, and he does this 17 times, and he does so an 18th time as well. For 17 times he comes and he attacks Mathura, he loses. He's defeated, he goes back. And each time he brings millions of armies. We're not talking thousands, we are talking millions. And this particular 18th time, he was getting ready to attack Mathura again. But in this instance, there was another demon. He was a Yavana. His name was Kalyavan. He was also preparing to attack Mathura at the same time, and he had 30 million soldiers in his army. So you can just imagine the population of Australia, has it reached 30 million yet? So not yet, but it wiped out entire population of, if there's a fight. So just imagine how many millions of soldiers are attacking Mathura. So Krishna, being very intelligent, because that's one of his qualities, he's very extremely intelligent. He used his intelligence to, let me see what I can do. So he decides to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, figuratively speaking. He decides to handle Jarasandha, he decides to handle Kalyavan, actually 3 birds with 1 stone, and he decides to deliver someone as well, one of his greatest devotees. So what he does is, because he thinks, if Balaram and I are handling Kalyavan on one side, then our soldiers will get fatigued, and maybe Jarasandha might have the upper hand, and he might attack Mathura. So he's thinking how to deal with this. So what Krishna does is very clever and very admirable. He comes out from the city to Kalyavan first in just a garland of lotus flowers and all his opulence, obviously, but without any weapons. He was not armored at all, and bare feet. And he walks very casually right through his army. He walks straight past Kalyavan, very casually, as if he's taking a stroll. And Kalyavan thinks, okay, here's Krishna, I'm going to kill him. Now, Kalyavan had a background history, why he was there, why he was... we'll talk about that later if we have a little bit of time. But anyway, he has a look at Krishna and goes, okay, well, Krishna is unarmed, so he puts his weapons down as well because he knows the rules of the battle. And he decides to follow Krishna. And Krishna leads him very casually, and he chases Krishna, but he can't catch him. And Krishna is very casually just walking, but he just still cannot catch Krishna. The reason, obviously, is because he's God, and no one can catch him unless he wants you to catch him. So each time Kalyavan thinks, I'm getting a bit closer, but he never does, until they reach this cave. And Krishna goes inside this cave, and someone is sleeping there inside the cave. So Krishna hides himself, and Kalyavan enters the cave, and he sees a figure who's sleeping. And he thinks, oh, this is Krishna, he's tired, so he must be, lying down. And he gives the sleeping person one good hard kick. And as soon as he kicks this person opens his eyes, and Kalyavan is burned to ashes, dead. And then Krishna reveals himself to the person who's sleeping. And the person looks at Krishna, and he folds his hands because he can see that Krishna is standing there in all his opulence, and there is this Brahmajyoti, his effulgence is surrounding him. He can hardly make out. And in all his glory, he can tell that this is no ordinary person. So he puts his hands together and says, you must be one of the highest of demigods, or you might be the supreme personality of Godhead himself. Please, I offer my repeated obeisances unto you. And in all humility and very sweet words, he asks, Lord Krishna, who are you? What is your name? Who is your family? Who are your parents? Why are you here? Please introduce yourself so that I may worship you. I think you've got to be someone who is worshipable. So this is where Krishna, coming to that point where why did he take incarnation as Krishna? Lord Krishna, he says in his own words. And this is in Krishna book. I'd like to read it out to you, only because it's really nice to hear word for word on what Prabhupada has said so that we don't miss what the meaning is of what Krishna says from his own mouth about this particular incarnation in Treta, himself and Balaram. He says, my dear king, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, this person who was lying down, who burned to it, his name was Muchukunda, King Muchukunda. So he says, my dear king, it is practically impossible to tell you about my birth, my appearance, my disappearance, and activities. So in his first statement, Krishna says, I'm God. I'm Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then he says, perhaps you know that my incarnations as Anantadev has unlimited mouths, and for an unlimited time, he has been trying to narrate fully about my name, fame, qualities, activities, appearance, disappearance, incarnations, but he still has not been able to finish. So then he talks about his first expansion, Ananta Shesha, which is Balaram, with the unlimited number of hoods, and he's praising Lord Krishna. Sometimes, personally, I sometimes think, what must Lord Ananta Shesh must be saying about Krishna, which I would love to hear. This is just a personal ambition, because I'm sure it must be very nectarian to hear. And it is, it hasn't finished yet. And he keeps on praising Lord Krishna, his qualities, everything, and it's still not ended yet. So that proves that obviously Krishna is unlimited. And even in this particular lecture Prabhupada gave in LA, he also says that this incarnation of Lord Krishna was meant for us to understand that he's God. But because he is unlimited, we can't really fully know him. So we have to know him in our limited capacity. From what we have, because we are obviously not qualified to understand. None of us are. No one is to understand him completely. But he says if we follow the footsteps of our acharyas or a spiritual master or a great devotees of Lord Krishna, we might be able to understand him a little bit. So here is Ananta Shesha, and he's got unlimited number of mouths, and he's praising Lord Krishna, but it hasn't ended yet. So he says, therefore it is not possible to know exactly how many names and forms I possess. It may be possible for material scientists to estimate the number of atomic particles which make up the earthly planet, but the scientists cannot enumerate my unlimited names, forms, and activities. So he's directly telling King Muchkunda that I'm God. Many great sages and saintly persons have tried to list but they haven't been able to. And then he tells the king, King Muchkunda, why he's here, exactly why, which he has stated in the Bhagavad Gita, why he takes incarnation, but in this particular incarnation, why he has taken birth. He says, I may inform you that I have now appeared on this planet just to annihilate the demonic principles of the people in general and re-establish the religious principles enjoined in the Vedas. I have been invited for this purpose by Brahma, the supremending deity of this universe, and thus I have now appeared in the dynasty of the Yadus as one of their family members. I have specifically taken my birth as the son of Vasudev in the Yadu dynasty, and the people therefore know me as Vasudev, the son of Vasudev. You may also know that I have killed Kamsa, who in previous life was known as Kalanemi, as well as Pralambasura and many other demons. So he's saying that he's here to kill the demons. He's been called by Brahma and some of his highest of devotees to take birth. So he's taken birth at their request, and he's taken birth in the Yadu dynasty. They have acted as my enemies, and I have killed them. The demon who was present before you, my dear King Muchkunda, you are a great devotee, and just by your causeless mercy, I have appeared in this cave. I am very affectionately inclined towards my devotees, and in your previous life, before your present condition, you acted as my great devotee and prayed for my causeless mercy. I have therefore come to see you fulfill your desire. So he actually came to deliver King Muchkunda. And so that was another point. But this is straight out of Lord Krishna's mouth, that this is why I have taken birth. And in his lecture, Prabhupada actually says, first of all, we've got to really understand that Krishna is the personality of Godhead. He's the supreme personality of Godhead. And he said, we are not interested in any other Krishna. And the example he used was like for someone who performs miracles. But in the end, they die. But our Krishna never does. He remains youthful. So he said, first of all, understand that he is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then secondly, we have to love him. We have to love him. And we also have to be happy about it. And he says, you never see Krishna in any of his pictures anywhere that he is sitting there, morose, depressed, crying, anything like that. You see him stealing butter, you see him running around with the gopas in the forest, you see him dancing with his girlfriends, you see him doing all sorts of things, you know. When he goes to Dwarka, he marries so many queens, but he's never depressed. And then Prabhupada says, even when he's killing the demons, he does it very happily and with love. So I'll just imagine Krishna is killing Aristasura or Pralambasura, and he's doing this with love. So coming to that point, love, how do we actually love Krishna? And I was deliberating on this because I was going to mention a little bit in this class about how can we love Krishna? Because in my experience, love is not something that you do. It's not something it's not like a ritual that we follow. And love is actually something that develops in your heart. It develops in your heart. And it is a feeling, emotion that you feel for Krishna. And how does it get there? How can you develop these loving feelings for Krishna in your heart? And the answer is obviously through someone who already loves Krishna, a bona fide devotee, a bona fide spiritual master. So they imbibe this love in your heart for Krishna. And one of the most important things is Lord Chaitanya. He gave us this precious germ, the Harinama. And through Lord Chaitanya's mercy, when we chant Lord Krishna's names, the impurities of the heart, they disappear. What are those impurities? The anarthas, like jealousy, envy, greed, all of those things that is stopping us from loving someone unconditionally. So, with Lord Chaitanya's blessings, with the spiritual master's blessings, with the association of devotees, there's something else called devotional service, and obviously chanting the Hare Krishna name, always keeping us purified ourselves. So in that regard, I was thinking, which example should we use, and who loves Krishna the most? There is one highest devotee of Lord Krishna who loves Krishna the most, from whom we can learn. Yes, Radharani. Uddhava, they all do. Actually, the Krishna's devotees, they are all great devotees. They all love him. The greatest one is Radharani. So I was thinking, let's look at how Radharani, a little bit of Radharani's rasa with Krishna. Just a little one. This is from Vidagdha Madhava, and it's written by Rupa Goswami. And this is like a drama. It's presented like a drama. And in a form of, like they're actors and they have their own parts and they speak. So why did Rupa Goswami write this? The activities and pastimes was the once he had a dream, and Lord Shiva came in his dream. And Lord Shiva said, there's so many devotees who are ready to give up their lives in separation of Lord Krishna. And they are keeping themselves alive just by his holy names. And they need to know about his pastimes. Here Krishna danced with the gopis. There Krishna did this particular leela. And we need to put it all together and present it. And by my mercy, you'll be able to write this. So Rupa Goswami writes this play. And in this play, so we are coming to how Radharani loves Krishna. So in the beginning, obviously, when Radharani was born, she wouldn't look at anybody else first. She kept her eyes closed. As soon as little baby Krishna somehow the other crawls into her cot, where she's lying with her eyes closed, and Krishna has this beautiful fragrance, so she smells the fragrance, opens her eyes. So that's when she first sees him. But later on, when she's growing, when she's at home with her parents, and Krishna is at his home with his parents, they're growing up, and they need to meet each other, and there's a love growing there. So Radharani, she's been hearing lots of pastimes about Krishna. A lot of her girlfriends, a lot of people come to tell Krishna's like this, he killed this demon, he's done that. So they praise, and this is how Krishna looks. So that's one point, listening to Lord Krishna's pastimes. So that's what Radharani has been doing, listening about Krishna. And secondly, this is the time when Krishna was playing his flute. And Radharani obviously these are their pastimes. So she doesn't know who's playing the flute, but she's so attracted by the flute. As soon as the flute plays, Radharani gets stunned. Whatever she's doing, she stops. Or sometimes she cries very loudly, or she starts trembling, or she starts perspiring, or there's all these ecstatic symptoms of love. She starts feeling that just by listening to the flute. And obviously, a lot of devotees, they start, whenever they hear Lord Krishna's flute, it is said Lord Brahma comes in his swan with all his 4 heads and 8 ears, and he just, he's bewildered, but he's listening to Lord Krishna's flute. And Lord Shiva also comes like a ghost, and he's accompanied with he's grabbing his snakes. This is how Lord Krishna's friend Madhu Mangal describes. And Indra, he also comes, and he's got 1,000 eyes. And when he hears this flute music, Lord Indra starts shedding tears from his 1,000 eyes. And 1,000 eyes of tears, they fall in Vrindavan, and it feels like rain. So here's Radharani also. She listens to Krishna's flute, and she gets so bewildered. And there is also Purnamasi in this picture. Purnamasi is the mother of Sandipani Muni, and Sandipani Muni is Lord Krishna's teacher. spiritual master, where Lord Krishna actually goes to a school and he gets taught by Sandipani Muni. So Purnamasi is his mother. And she's also Yogmaya, which means she puts illusion, spiritual illusion, and has these pastimes ready. So Purnamasi was trying to get Radharani to meet Krishna. And she was going to arrange, taking the first step. So she went to Vishakha, who happens to be Radharani's Sakhi friend. Can you please draw Lord Krishna's picture and show it to Radharani? So Vishakha goes away and starts drawing Lord Krishna's picture. So there's three things that happened here. First, Radharani is listening to Lord Krishna's pastimes. Then she hears about him, the flute music. And thirdly, she is going to be shown Lord Krishna's picture. In other words, his form. So you can get attracted. Obviously, you can definitely get attracted to his form. Lord Krishna is all attractive. So, and then you can hear about him. It's very pleasing. So when Vishakha brings this picture, Radharani gets really, really bewildered because she looks at the picture. She falls in love with Krishna's picture. But she's very, very angry with herself. And Vishakha says, what's the problem? Why are you so upset, Radharani? Why are you so upset? Radharani says, well, who is this person? I've fallen in love with the picture. I've fallen in love with the person who is playing the flute. And I've fallen in love with the person who is Krishna. I am most unchaste, she says, because I've fallen in love with three different persons. And she's very bewildered. How can this be possible? And she's extremely upset. And then Vishakha and Lalita, they say, calm down, calm down. These three personalities are all one. They're all one. They're all Krishna. And Radharani gets happy. But this is the love that they develop even by the name Krishna. Even by the name Krishna. Even by Lord Krishna's form. And Lord Krishna is most attractive. The most attractive. He gets attracted even by his own form, which he happens to see a reflection on the floor, and he goes, who is this person? Such a handsome, beautiful person. And he says, oh, he is the person that Radharani loves to embrace. I would like to embrace this person. There's no one more beautiful than him. So that actually also shows one other thing, that Krishna and his reflection, they're one and the same. They're one and there's no difference. His reflection is also Krishna himself. So he's so beautiful. And that's the attraction. And that actually develops the love that you have for Krishna. But there has to be also a desire. So this flute story, which I might have some time to share a little very quickly. This flute, as a 10-year-old me, 10-year-old Shamapriya, my parents gave me my own room, and I would... Obviously, my parents would put me to sleep at night, but I wouldn't go to sleep immediately. That's when I was 10 or 12. I would stand by the window. This is in Fiji, and in those days there was no noise, there was no sound. It was in silence, in dead silence of the night. I would look out at the window, out to the universe, and I would think somewhere Krishna is playing his flute. Somewhere he is. And maybe in my childish mind, I'm thinking, maybe in the dead silence of the night, I might hear an echo. And I did this night after night after night. And the funny thing was my parents were not into Lord Krishna so much. My father had this really interesting relationship with Krishna. He sang his bhajans, but when it came to Lord Krishna, said, that rascal Krishna, he runs around with too many women, too many girls. So no daughter of mine is going to be worshipping him. So Lord Krishna's name was never mentioned. When the Lord Krishna's videos came out, and I went and sat there and watched all those VCR video tapes, those square ones, not CDs. Or VCDs, and the rasa dance came up, and my father rudely came and switched it off. No, he's a rascal. He goes after all these girls. No daughter of mine is going to be watching him. And little did he know that every night I would wake up, I wouldn't go to sleep, I'm listening for his... But this is what happens when a parent tries to force a child to not do something, that's exactly what the child will do. So he was trying to tell me, don't worship Krishna, don't think about him. That's exactly what I did. Of course, my father is not present anymore in his physical body, but so he didn't live to see me turning into a devotee or going to Krishna straight away. But this flute, I was so desperate to hear this flute music. And no one really had mentioned Krishna. So later on, I got my deities, Radhesham, and I had a friend, and she was in a lot of problems. So she was crying. She was in very big problems. There was health issues, there's family issues, there's money issues. She was in a very, very big fix, and she was crying all the time. And I said, okay, just go to my deities, because that's who I had available at the time. The temple was nowhere there. So go into the deity room and just pray to Radhesham. And she went there crying. She closed the door and she cried. And that night, my deities, Krishna, and I know they are my deities because she described later, his outfit was exactly the same as my deity. And what did he do? The Sham that I have, he went in a dream and started playing the flute. He never came in my dreams and played the flute to me. And I'm thinking, this is not fair. I've been waiting to hear his flute all this time, and here comes my friend. She's in problem, and you go in her dreams and you play flute to her, not me. That's just not fair. And in a dream, he goes and he picks up the flute. And she describes the flute, and it's exactly the same flute that I give to my deities. And he said, and he tells in his dream, relax, I've got everything under control. You go to sleep. And she goes to sleep, and she comes and tells me this dream. And she says, I remember the tune that he actually played on the flute. And he said, that tune was so beautiful. And I fell asleep. And I thought, why did she fall asleep? I would have been awake to hear everything. Anyway, as it turned out, she didn't become a devotee. She went back to sleep quite not literally, maybe in a dream she went to sleep literally, but she went to sleep in a spiritual sense, and that is, she went back to sleep in the lap of Maya, because she had some material needs. So I realized then, I'm glad he didn't play that flute, and in that particular tune, because I don't want to sleep. Krishna has these different flutes. He has got small size Venu, and then he's got a bigger one. What's that? Murali. And then a really long one, Vamsi. And they're different flutes, and they're decorated differently. Some flutes are, jewels, lots of jewels, and a smaller number of holes, or larger than 9 holes. And he uses them for different things. But yes, when Krishna plays his flute, everything stops. The mountains, it is said, the mountains start running. They start moving. And when Krishna's flute is playing, the rivers stop flowing, and the stones start melting. And Lord Shiva, in the spiritual skies, he gives this loud cry. He cries out so loud that the demons get annihilated. And, the heavenly gods, they come out of their heavens just to see. And the birds get stunned, and the cows stop chewing. The calves who are, suckling on the milk, they stop suckling. So this is the effect of Lord Krishna's flute. To aspire to hear his flute would be nice, but not to go to sleep. So that was Lord Krishna and the love that Radharani has for Krishna. And just to continue on that, when she sees Lord Krishna's picture, she decides to write a letter. Actually, Purnamasi, she gives a suggestion to Radharani, write a love letter to Krishna, because you have fallen in love with him, let him know. So she writes this letter and hands it over to Vishakha, and Vishakha goes to Krishna, and she hands this letter over to Krishna. And Krishna is dilly-dallying there in the forest with his best friend Madhumangal, one of his friends. Madhumangal is actually the son of Lord Krishna's teacher, Sandipani Muni. Sandipani Muni is a very highly realized Brahmin, so Madhumangal obviously is also a Brahmin. And he always teases Krishna, because Madhumangal loves to eat. He loves to have laddus and all those things. He says, Krishna, you give me more laddus, and as a Brahman, I'm going to give you blessings so that you may meet Radharani. Because Krishna is always anxious to meet Radharani. So Krishna gets very happy. He gives Madhumangal laddus. You can have all the laddus, I'll get to meet Radharani. So he's standing there with this particular Madhumangal, and Vishaka goes and hands over the letter. And Krishna reads it. What do you think he does when he reads Radharani's letter? Because Radharani is saying that your picture is so beautiful. Just I'm just giving you an idea, not the exact words, but the idea that she gives to Krishna is because I've fallen in love with your picture. And every time I try to stop thinking about you, you block my path. So something like that. In other words, she says, I've fallen in love with your picture. She hasn't seen him yet. And Krishna decides to play a joke. This is the ras. He decides to play a joke on Radharani, and he rejects her letter. He says to Vishaka, he says, I am a brahmachari, and I don't take part in all this, and these girls are crooked. And, I don't want to associate with this. I'm going to go and tell the elders of the Vrindavan elders, I'm going to tell that these girls are polluting me. And he hands over the letter back to Vishaka and Lalita, and he rejects. And so Vishaka thinks, okay, let me try one more thing just to see Krishna's heart, whether he really loves Radharani or not. She says he has a gunja berry necklace. Krishna wears those gunja berries. And Radharani made it out of love, and he offered it to Krishna. And Vishaka said, if he accepts this gunja berry, that means he's just joking about the letter. He really does love Radharani. And what does Krishna do? He rejects that as well. He says, I don't like this gunja berry. It hasn't been done very well. He puts it in his neck, but he gives it back. And so Lalita and Vishaka, they go back to Radharani and tell her, Krishna has rejected your letter of love and the gunja berry necklace. And Radharani gets so upset. She gets so upset that she has a drama of her own. She says, if Krishna, what is the use of having this beauty and this body, of having this love when it is being rejected? I am going to commit suicide. I'm going to go and jump in the Yamuna where Kaliya Nag is residing and be bitten by Kaliya, and I'm going to die there. And so she goes to Lalita and Vishaka, come with me. I'm going to commit suicide. You accompany me. So they go with Radharani to jump in the lake. She goes but while she's going there, Krishna happens to be there, and he's feeling very, very sorry. And he regrets, I have rejected Radharani's love letter, so maybe she will feel very bad. Maybe she will not tolerate it. Maybe she will commit suicide, which that's what she does. So then Madhumangal suggests to Krishna, what is the solution to this? We must rectify the solution. And Krishna says, the only solution is I will also write a love letter. And he said, with what? So he goes there, there's a rose garden, and he's going to squeeze the rose petals, and from the rose petal juice, he's going to write this love letter to Radharani. So he goes to this rose bush, this place where all these roses are. In the meantime, Radharani comes along the path to go and commit suicide in the Yamuna, and Krishna sees her. And so he hides in the bushes and tries to listen to their conversation, what's happening. And there he hears Radharani say, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. And Radharani is saying to Vishaka, when you speak about me, or when you speak to people, please remember this person. So what Radharani is saying, when I die, make sure you at least remember me in some of your conversation. This is how, she is actually also very much into Leela. Radharani has a Leela of her own. It's not only just Krishna who does this drama. So she says to Lalita, please think of this person. And then she goes a little bit further, and Krishna is listening to it the whole time. And she goes a little bit further, and then she takes off her necklace. She wears a pearl necklace with a beautiful pendant. And she says, here, take my beautiful necklace, and you can wear it while I'm gone. And then she goes a little bit further, and then she says, when in my funeral ceremony, so she's also talking about what my funeral is going to be like. It's Radharani. She says, in my funeral ceremony, please put me in a situation where I'm hugging a tamal tree. Because the tamal tree represents Lord Krishna. When the gopis get scared and Krishna is not around, they hug a tamal tree. She says, in my funeral ceremony, let me hug a tamal tree. And all the time, Krishna is listening in the forest and goes, how big her love is for me. And Krishna starts crying and he starts sobbing, I love her too. Like that. And then Radharani says, but I must see Krishna for one last time before I die. One last time before I die. So Radharani asked Vishaka, please bring the picture. Where's the picture that you painted? And Vishaka says, I don't have that picture anymore, but let me make something. And then, but it's going to take a lot of time. So Radharani says, okay, I shall meditate in my heart. Let that picture come to me as quickly. In fact, let that picture become alive. And obviously, Krishna is hiding in the bushes. And he just comes out in front of Radharani. And that's when they made. And then Krishna, obviously, and Radharani, they make up after that time. Krishna says, I love you, and she says, I love you, and all those things. So there's a really happy ending to that. But this is love for Krishna that Radharani has. You can love Krishna in your own way, obviously, as God, as your son, as your father. So you can, because Krishna has friends, the Gopas love him as a friend. The Gopis love him as their husband. Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda love him as their son. And obviously when Krishna is in Dwarka, he loves his children. So he becomes father. So Pradyuman is one of his main sons from Rukmini Devi, his first wife, most important wife, Rukmini Devi has a son, Pradyuman. So they love Krishna as a father. So we have come to the end of the class. Is there any question? Yes?
You mentioned about 3 different sizes of
Flute, yes.
Does each size of the flute, are they connected with any kind of
Yes, they are. I'll have to read up a little bit more. But Krishna was when younger, he used to use the Venu. And when he was with the Gopas, he used to use the Murali. And when he's with the Gopis, he uses the Vamsi. And they have different, I mean that if you want to know the details, it is written in the Krishna book, you can read. But the Vamsi, he uses with the Gopis. So and each of the flute music has different purposes too. Like for example, when he was when he was giving birth to Lord Brahma, and when Brahma was traveling in the lotus flower stem looking for Krishna, and then finally gives up, and then he hears the flute music. And in that flute music, he understands the whole, he's been given the whole knowledge, intelligence, the Vedas, everything, the scriptures. So the flute, in that sense, had that purpose of imbibing the knowledge and the abilities for Brahma. And sometimes when he plays the Vamsi, he's calling Radharani. He's calling, and sometimes he uses a little Venu, and Venu is actually for whistling as well. The sound is whistling, the Venu, the smaller one. I think it's got 6 holes. It's more like a whistle sound. So those are the flutes. And each flute, they have a different purpose.
So you mean the middle one is the one which is played when Brahmani was traveling?
Yes, that is right. When the Gopas were playing with Krishna at that time, and Madhu Mangal was with Krishna, and he was playing with the Gopas, the Murli. And all the demigods and Brahma, even Brahma in Swan, he comes. And Madhu Mangal looks at the demigods and he says, who are they? And I shall protect you, Krishna. And he gets his stick out. I'm going to beat them up. And then Balaram says, don't beat them up. That's Lord Shiva there. And that's Indra there. And that's Brahma there. So Madhu Mangal is a very good friend of Lord Krishna's. And he has his own incredible pastimes. Just on Madhu Mangal, I'd like to just share something. I was living in Parramatta before by myself, renting by myself, so there's nobody in the house. But one morning, I decided to sleep in. So my deities were neglected that day. I thought, let my deity sleep. And I heard a voice, a child's voice, like a very small child. I want my breakfast. And I thought, I'm living here by myself. And I'm sleeping, so I must be dreaming. But I was awake. I was actually awakened by the sound. I want my breakfast, in a very sweet child voice. I want my breakfast. And I thought, oh, I'm imagining it. I turned over, I went to sleep. Then I start dreaming. And in my dream, I see a bunch of little boys. They are raiding my fridge, and they're sitting around my dining table and having breakfast. And the children, obviously, there's one Krishna there, there's one Balaram there, and there's a chubby one there too. The one we were talking about, Madhumangal. He's got a plate load of something, and then he goes back into my fridge, and he goes for seconds. So, and then when I woke up, and I thought, oh my gosh, there was Krishna and all his gopas in my dream, and they were raiding my fridge and having breakfast. Obviously, I got up very quickly after that, gave him breakfast. But Madhumangal likes to do those things. Madhumangal, there's a pastime there that he ate too many laddus, he grew fat. Gurudev tells this story. So I got this directly from my spiritual master. They were stealing the butter once, and in the gopis' house, and they got caught. They all ran. Krishna was small. Everybody, all his gopas, they ran out. And obviously out the window. And guess who was last? Madhumangal. And what happened? Because he's roly-poly, he got stuck in the window. He got stuck in the window, he couldn't come out. And what did the gopis do? They got a stick and they beat him in the back. Poor Madhumangal, he got beaten that day. So that is a very funny story I find him about Madhumangal. He's a very interesting character. He's Lord Krishna's friend. Obviously, Lord Krishna has a lot of friends. So, any other questions before we stop? No? Srimad Bhagvat Puran ki jai.